Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Framingham, Massachusetts, the site of Framingham Station. Today, I will take you through everything that makes this station unique, while also seeing some interesting CSX freight trains. Let's get straight into it. Framingham, then called South Framingham, was opened on the Boston and Worcester Railroad in 1834. Some branches were built from South Framingham, such as the Milford branch to Milford and the agricultural branch to Framingham Center. The Mansfield and Framingham Railroad also opened to serve South Framingham in 1870. Starting in 1881, the Boston and Albany Railroad began a program to improve much of its infrastructure, which included rebuilding South Framingham.
The new station building was designed by the architect Henry Hobson Richardson and completed in 1885. It, along with the old abandoned platform, is still visible at the inbound ends of the tracks today.
In 1900, the Boston and Albany Railroad became part of the New York Central Railroad. With South Framingham being far more used than Framingham Center, South Framingham was renamed to just Framingham in 1915. In the early 20th century, train traffic on the various branch lines began to decline. Passenger service on the Milford branch ended in 1959.
The rarely used Milford branch stub is still visible today, splitting off from the Worcester line just west of the inbound platform, then crossing Waverly Street. Although passenger service ended on the Mansfield and Framingham in 1933, the line is still very much active today, being used by CSX freight trains on a regular basis. It splits off from the Worcester Main Line just east of Framingham Station. The agricultural branch faced a similar fate as the Mansfield and Framingham, with passenger service ending in 1937, but still seeing use from CSX freight trains. All of these CSX freight trains originate and terminate at CSX Framingham Yard, located just north of the station and intersecting with their Worcester line in a Y.
In 1960, the New York Central attempted to cut train service to Framingham, but local opposition forced them to continue running service, but with only 8 round trips per day. The MBTA began subsidizing passenger service on the Worcester line in 1973. In 1975, service to Worcester was eliminated, leaving Framingham as the terminus of the line. However, just a few days later, Amtrak's Lakeshore Limited sleeper service began running to Boston, stopping at Framingham along the way. In 1975, Framingham was added to the National Register of Historic Places, despite the building being in a bad state of repair. The building was restored in 1985 and has been occupied by various restaurants since then. In 1994, service on the Worcester line was re-extended to Worcester, leaving Framingham no longer the terminus, but still a short-turn site for some MBTA trains today. The Framingham Station as we know it today came to be as a result of the Americans with Disabilities Act in 1990, which forced the station to be step-free accessible.
Completed in 2001, new platforms were constructed just west of the old ones. They're mostly low level, featuring mini highs at the outbound ends, and a footbridge for passengers to cross the tracks, with elevators on either end.
Now, let's see what CSX freight trains Framingham has to offer. Various locals run in and out of Framingham Yard, such as L002, seen here arriving from the west. This is L005, arriving from the Framingham Secondary. This is Y101, the yard switcher, sorting cars with EMD ST40-2 number 8853 in the lead. And L010, arriving from Reedville with two GP40-2 locomotives long hood forward. Here's another clip of L010, departing with SD40-2 number 8128 in the lead. That's all I have to show for today's video. I hope you learned something new about Framingham Station, and I definitely recommend a visit. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.